This Caddo Parish Commission is called to order February 4th, 2019, 3:30 p.m. Our work session agenda. Mr. Clerk, would you have roll call, please?
Dominic.
Here.
Lyndon Johnson.
Present.
Jackson. Lynn. Bowman.
Present.
Southorn.
Present.
Watts.
Present.
Middleton. Atkins.
Here.
Chavez.
Here, sir.
Smith.
Here.
Lewis Johnson.
Present.
We have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. We'll have our prayer by Commissioner Jim Smith, and we'll have our pledge by Commissioner Mario Chavez. Would you please stand?
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking your blessing upon our meeting. Father, we just pray that everything we do and say will be in accordance with your will. Help us, Father, to always do the things that will be pleasing in your sight. Thank you, Father, for the privilege of serving our people in our parish. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
If everybody in the room would face the flag, if you're a veteran or prior military, you may salute and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Chavez. Do we have any agenda additions? There are none. Citizens' comments? Citizens who wish to address the commission must fill out a comment card and forward to the president or the clerk of the commission. Comments by any citizen will be limited to 3 minutes. I have no cards. Mr. Todd, do you have any?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Next item, sir.
We have no visitors. Next, we move to administrative report.
Dr. Wilson,
Good evening, Commissioners.
good evening.
I have a couple things. I'd like to inform the Caddo Parish Commission Board that we have a long-term employee who decided to retire and start a new chapter in her life. Ms. Renee Casio has declined to be present today and is retiring from the organization after 43 and a half years of parish service. Ms. Casio started her employment with us while she was in high school as a DECA student in July of 1975. In June 1976, Ms. Casio became a full-time employee here at the parish, and she culminates her career on this coming Friday. Ms. Casio worked in the finance department, responsible for paying all the parish bills and processing invoices. Ms. Casio is extremely dedicated and exceptional and proficient at her job. In essence, she is the model employee, and we're going to miss her presence around the organization. She's also was also our sincere prayer that the Lord would grant her many fun years of self-fulfilling years in her retirement. Ms. Casio's 43 and a half years of faithful service to the citizens of the parish of Caddo reflects very positively on herself, her family, and the parish commission organization. Madam President, as a point of privilege,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to state that Saturday, I had the opportunity to attend my daughter's graduation. This is my eldest daughter. She graduated from Chamberlain University with a doctorate in nurse practitioning on Saturday.
Come on.
And that's the second doctor in the family besides me.
Yeah.
All
Congratulations.
So we got 3.
Hey, if we get sick, we're calling her, not you, though.
Pardon me?
If we get sick, we're calling her, not you.
Well, actually, both of my daughters are nurse practitioners.
We'll
and
call the other
doctorate
daughter,
degrees.
our other daughter, one of your daughters, okay?
So it gets confusing when someone said Dr. Wilson, 3 of us answering now at the house. So anyway, I'm proud of that moment.
You
Thank
should
you all
be.
for my indulgence.
Very proud moment. Congratulations, sir, to you and your daughter. Is that it?
Okay, that's all I have today for you.
We wish Ms. Casio all of the best. 43 years of retirement says so much about this organization. You took me back when you said DECA. Does that still exist?
Yeah, it does.
It does. It does not. I
Does
was a
up in
member of
North Caddo.
DECA when I was in high school. So, yeah, that's a great accomplishment. An awesome, amazing employee to be
Yes, she
dedicated for 43 and a half years. So we wish her all the best and all of the success and pray that she continues to do well in whatever endeavors that she decides to go in at this point.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
That's it. Mr. Clerk, next item, please.
Next, we move to commission remarks.
All right. We have Commissioner Dominic.
Dr. Wilson, so Ms. Cassio, when is her last day?
This Friday.
Well, she's one of my constituents, and I know her very well, and I
Yes, sir.
appreciate all the hard work she's done. Know her husband real well. They're really, really nice people, and I wish her the best of luck in her future endeavors. So please be sure and tell her that I've made comments, and
Yes, sir.
really appreciate all of her hard work.
Yes, sir. We're gonna give her the appropriate send-off, because she just didn't want to appear before you all today.
Thank you.
She wanted to leave without the fanfare, so we're gonna have something for her that's appropriate, but she didn't want to come down today.
I understand. Well, just tell her that from, myself and the rest of the commission body, we will miss her.
That's what it will, sir.
That's it, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Parliamentarian Bowman.
Yes, Madam President. I just want to, is Mr. Clark here, Travis?
Yes. You want to come forward?
Yes, if you could.
Absolutely.
Well, you may not even have to, it's short. But I just want to, that was President Storm and I were, this guy who's also a constituent, Mr. Edward Savannah, had made, there's someone who's not a resident of the area in Highland. She's doing something with cats, and it's she's not even the person doesn't live at the house, but it's like I don't know if she's hoarding and feeding cats in the area where no one even owns animals, and there's a guy, a few people complain about it. So I just wanted to let you know so I can give you the information as well. So we'll have that on it. But I'm sure you probably haven't heard of anything like that, have you?
What someone?
It's off Kirby Street.
Kirby?
1437.
It's not ringing a bell right now, but I can
Okay.
definitely look into it.
Yes, sir. All right. I'll get that to you. That was it. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Middleton.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm sorry, I didn't know she'd slipped out. All right, I'm going to ask those of you up here, how many of y'all remember this name? When you raise your hand, you're going to be committed to something. I'm going to start with Lewis Yarborough, okay? How many of y'all remember Kelvin Cochran, former police chief? Okay? All right, now you have a lunch
Fire
report.
chief. Fire chief.
What did I say?
Fire chief. Is it police chief?
Fire chief, yes, I'm sorry. As you know, he went off to Atlanta and then became the fire chief of the nation.
National
So
fire
y'all have
chief.
an opportunity to reach out to him this Thursday at First Baptist Bossier. We're having a vertical luncheon. He is the guest speaker. And that's going to be at 12 noon. We need to know how many people. It's only $10 for a lunch, so we have to write a number of lunches. And also at 8:30 Saturday morning, he's going to have a gridiron breakfast at the same church. And so we'd like to invite everyone out to that, particularly the men. It's more of a men fellowship than anything. And I know that hopefully we can see some of you out there on Thursday at 12 noon at First Bossier. Let me know if you want to go, and I'll arrange for your name to be placed, but you pay me for your meal. Are you cooking? Negative, sir. I did not cook. Ask my wife if I could. No, I don't cook. So that's it. Just want to put that out there. So thank you. Now, thank you, Madam President. Did you watch that?
I didn't.
Okay. Kelvin Cochran is going to be at our church Thursday for a luncheon. He's the speaker, so if you'd like to come see him, it's only like $10. So just let me know so we can get you his lunch.
Thank you. I'll check my schedule, and if I'm free, I'll be there.
I know the president's a busy one.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioner. Is that it?
That's it. Thank you.
All right. I see no one else.
Next, we move to President's Report.
Okay. At this time, would everyone please stand? I have a presentation.
Surprise.
To you, Commissioner John Atkins. This was given at the Appreciation Awards banquet on Friday before last. This is a plaque for all of your dedication and all of your gifts for Toys for Tots Foundation.
Thank you very much.
And they appreciate you so much, and we appreciate you here at Caddo Parish Commission, and we thought that we should present it to you at this meeting.
Well, I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, Mr. Todd, that's all I have for today.
Next, we have no old business. We move to new business. Zoning case P519 in regards to ordinance number 5853, amending zoning property located on the north side of the east corner of Lucas Road approximately 1,000 feet east of Ellaby Road from R17 Single Family Residential District to C1 Neighborhood Commercial Plan Unit Development District.
So move for introduction. Second.
Okay. No one's on the board? Okay, it's being moved by Commissioner Chavez and second by Commissioner John Atkins. Please vote. And that passes 12-0.
Authorize the introduction of ordinance number 5851 of 2019, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the capital outlay fund and the amount of $79,180 to provide an appropriation to add an additional boiler at the health unit.
So
Move
moved.
for adoption, introduction.
Second.
All right. That has been moved unanimously, sounds like it, by Commissioner Stephen Jackson, second by Commissioner Bowman.
Yes, ma'am.
There's no discussion, please vote.
Mr. Jackson?
And that passes 12-0. Next item.
Authorize the introduction of ordinance number 5855, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund in the amount of $30,000 to provide an additional appropriation for the Broadmoor Neighborhood Association.
Madam President?
Commissioner Middleton is
Yes.
on the board.
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to make a motion to delay the introduction of this ordinance until March the 4th, 1 month.
Second.
Okay, it's been motioned by Commissioner Middleton to move this introduction to March 4th and second by Commissioner Doug Dominic. I see two commissioners on the board. Would you like to speak as the maker of the motion, Commissioner Middleton?
No, that's my motion.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson.
I'd like to make a substitute motion that we refer this ordinance to the NGO committee.
Second.
Okay, a substitute motion has been proposed by Commissioner Stephen Jackson to move to the NGO committee and second by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
I just,
Commissioner Jackson.
just want to make sure we follow the process. That's it.
That's it, sir?
Thank you, Madam President. That's it.
Okay. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Well, I had another motion, but I'll go along with that one for right now.
That's it?
That's it.
Well,
Thank
I'll
you. Thank
I
you,
need
sir.
to remove. Well, I guess if it don't pass, you can still make your motion if it don't go through.
Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. I think the Broadmoor Neighborhood Association does some good work, but I think that, as I've said in previous meetings, we need to respect the process, like Commissioner Jackson said, so I'll support Commissioner Jackson's motion that we move it to NGO. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Mike Middleton, second time around.
Okay. Well, in this particular case, this one has already been approved some money for this year, and we're asking to increase it, but I will accept that to do that, to move it, and as long as we could maybe get it scheduled for the NGO committee today, I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
Mr. Todd's working on that.
There's no further discussion. We are voting on the substitute motion first. Mr. Todd,
Yes, ma'am.
please vote. This is if you're for or against moving it to the NGO. And that passes 12-0 in favor to move to the NGO committee. Next item, please.
Authorize resolution number 6 of 2019, authorizing Caddo Community Action Agency to administer the Head Start
So
program.
moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Doug Dominic, second by, was that Commissioner Lynn Carthorne?
Yes.
Thank you. There is no discussion, please vote. And that passes 12-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Authorize resolution number 7, amending the rules of bylaws of Caddo Parish Commission regarding time of commission meetings.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to send this to the Policies and Procedures Committee.
Second.
Okay. There has been a motion to move item number 7 to the Policies and Procedures Committee. by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and second by Commissioner Matthew Lynn. Commissioner Jackson, would you like to speak on your motion?
No, I actually thought it would be in long range, but I had them confused. It should have been policies and procedures, so just trying to get it to the right place.
Okay. No other
And I will just say that I apologize. I know that the school board has now moved back to 4:30, and I believe the Shreveport City Council is giving consideration. So just as we go into these conversations, I don't know who's the chair of that committee, but hopefully we can get something scheduled sooner rather than later to have a discussion on it. And I believe this would, and I know we'll get into the details, but this should be taking effect next term and not this term, correct? Is that how this is worded for next term?
I don't think it's worded for the next term.
Right, that's the intent, is for it to, it wouldn't go into effect until the next commission term.
Can you, I'm sorry, what did you say it's intended to do for the next commission body?
Right,
Okay.
next commission body.
Okay, no further discussion? Please vote.
We're voting to send it to policies and
Yes.
Yes, sir, we're voting. If you would like to vote in favor to send it to the committee, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no.
You can have it. I don't know. You can have it.
No, he declined his chairmanship. That passes 12-0.
Sorry.
No.
Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Authorize resolution number 8 of 2019, authorizing Pine Hill Waterworks District number 8.
Move to advance.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. That was seconded by Commissioner Doug Dominic.
Well, it was.
Commissioner
was
Gerald
it-
Bowman?
Yeah, it was Gerald.
Okay. No discussion, please vote.
Just in case.
And that passes 12-0.
Authorize resolution number 9 of 2019, proclaiming February as School-Based Healthcare Awareness Month.
So move for adoption,
Second.
introduction, I'm sorry.
Second.
That it's
Actually,
been
moved to
moved-
Thursday.
Yeah, move to Thursday. I'm
It's
sorry.
been moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and second by the chair. I see Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson on the board.
No.
No?
No.
Okay, I'll clear you from the queue. No discussion, please vote. And that passes 12-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, move authorize approval of 2019 audit schedule.
I move that we advance to Thursday.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved by Commissioner John Atkins and second by Commissioner Lynn Carthorne. Mr. Atkins, would you like to speak on your motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. The Finance Committee met with the third-party auditors, and they had suggested that we attack these 4 issues in 2019 through our audit schedule. So I'm simply advancing the recommendation of the third-party auditors, Postal Waite and Netterville, that we evaluate these 4 sections first.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
I placed in front of all my fellow commissioners Resolution 71 of 2017. What the auditors did when they made this suggestion is that they called or contacted or emailed or got response from 30 Caddo Parish employees, and 6 of the 12 commissioners contacted them. And so what was brought forth to committee is heavily weighted with Caddo Parish employees' input. The commission body, the 12 of us, have already voted on the order for which this would take place, and it's shown with the vote in front of you. If you turn to page 2, you can see that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of the way that the committees were voted on by us. And if you go back even further, that it was discussed in committee, page 1 you'll see, and then if you turn to page 2, it shows the order at which we had discussed putting them in. More so than the committee order being changed is I don't feel that it's necessarily right for us to throw the commissioners, the 12 of ours, responsibility onto 30 Caddo Parish employees for them to do our job. And I think that if we chose for this to be in a particular order, that the order that we chose for it to be in should be the way that it stays, and all of that was sent to you. The meeting that was held by this committee on November the 6th, 2017 at 2 p.m. on the 8th floor was held in executive session, which means if you weren't on that committee and you were a commissioner, you could not even attend that meeting because no other commissioners were placed on the agenda to be in that meeting. And also, if you go back to the very front cover, it says that it shall provide for each commissioner to sit in at that committee meeting that was held in executive session. So I just want to bring to light that the auditing of the commission that is regulated and as an order by our charter, section 3.9, keeps getting off track. And I'm lame duck, and I just ask that one of my fellow commissioners or whoever takes my place to please pay attention to these issues, because we need to follow the charter and we need to make all of the meetings available to every commissioner. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynn. Commissioner John Atkins.
Commissioner Lynn does properly point out some discussions that were had several years ago before we retained our third-party auditor. The third-party auditor went through the proper steps to assess the areas of greatest risk and greatest exposure and coming up with the most recent ranking. So I see no harm in deferring to the recommendations of the third-party auditor and working with them to ensure that we cover all the sectors of the parish government in a orderly fashion. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Commissioner Dominic.
Commissioner Lynn, you said that we've already voted on a series. I don't see what you're talking about. Are you talking about the one where it says proposed internal audit process?
If you turn to page 2
of that document,
there's an order, and that's actually what was voted on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I guess
where are you talking about? I still don't see where you're talking about. I see where it says
these
parish funded agency.
The standing committees, but if you also go back to page 1 on proposed internal audit process,
Matthew,
submitted October.
I'm just asking, you're saying we voted on what needed to be,
to be done.
I see page 2, but I don't see anything.
And then go to page 1 of the proposed internal audit
His
process.
page 2 is not the same as
Yeah,
ours.
that's the problem.
This is the page 2 he's referring to.
Well, that's the
The
you talking about
list,
section F?
right, but go to page 1 of the following, and it'll show the proposed internal audit process.
Proposed.
Yes.
I don't know. When I'm looking at F, that talks about the standing committees. It didn't say about what's going to be audited, does it?
It does not.
Okay. It just talks about the committees that the president. Where's your committee right here? Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, Dan. Where's Henry?
Back there.
Or Donna, maybe you can answer this question. Was he talking about a executive session? I think that really wasn't an executive session. I think it was a audit committee that it was just.
What it was the selection process for the auditors.
Okay.
Where you're rating the,
Contracts.
the proposals that came in.
Okay.
Was what that committee was.
And the only people that could be in there was the ones that were on the committee then.
That is correct.
It really wasn't an executive session. It was just a matter of.
It was that committee, it was, a ratings process for the proposals that were submitted. And the persons who were on the committee had been predetermined by you all via ordinance, I believe.
Right. Okay. Okay, that's all I have.
That's it.
Thank you, Matthew. I was getting old, I can't see real well.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the proposed 2019 audit schedule to include administration and legal, commission and commission clerk, and animal services, I guess. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, just administration and legal and commission clerk, and if I can get a second, I can.
Second.
Can I?
And the other two stay in place?
Basically, and so basically, what it sounds like Commissioner Lynn is suggesting is that we just add these, and it's from what I look at the list here, the list that I have in front of me versus the list that's on here, it's just those two missing, and so I think if we just add those two, that should satisfy.
I guess the point that I make is that there was an order already chosen by the 12 of us, and that the auditing committee suggested we take input from 30 parish employees and the 12 commissions,
Just to be
however.
clear, the
only-
auditor, not the audit committee, but the auditor.
The auditors, excuse me. And so they got input from 30 Caddo Parish employees, and 6 commissioners responded. And I don't think that we can subjugate our responsibility to the Caddo Parish employees. I think that ultimately it is the 12 of ours decision, for which we had already voted and made that decision on November the 14th, or it was filed November the 14th,
So
2017.
Okay, and I just was asking him a question. So what I have is Resolution 80 that's in the packet. I've gone kind of skimmed through it, and I'm looking at Resolution 80 that says audit plan for fiscal year 2018 and subsequent years. I'm
You're
just
looking at
trying
what,
to
sir?
say it again. I'm sorry.
You're looking at what?
I'm looking at this sheet here. It says Resolution number 80. It's in the packet. It says Resolution number 80 of 2017, and it says a resolution to approve the internal audit plan for fiscal year 2018 and subsequent years.
Be like page 4 in your pamphlet.
Okay, thank you.
And so, and the page after that says, it basically says proposed internal audit process. And so it is just a proposal. And what I was trying to do was just bring it sort of in compliance with, or bring it up to the schedule of audits that are on page 2 in that particular packet. So if you turn the page over again, oh, so this is not the schedule? I'm sorry.
Attorney Frazier. I know
I'll yield a
Commissioner
minute.
Jackson, you still on there? Will you
Well,
allow her
I'm just trying to
interject here?
Well, I was just trying to. My amendment was at least to try to put us at least to what we have here on page 2. That's if that's
Yeah, I'm fine
suffices.
with that.
Just add those two, and it seems like we'll be right where we should be if we just add those two. I don't know, but if you're telling me that's not the schedule, I may be missing some information. So I'll yield to Attorney Frazier.
Okay.
Commissioners, if you read the ordinance and what's attached,
Which one?
the initial ordinance on or actually you can start with Resolution 80 when it talks about the internal audit plan for this year and subsequent years. The initial audit will be the Department of Animal Services and Mosquito Control, which was for 2018, given the issues. All future audits, this is the subsequent years for the audit plans, will be compiled from suggestions by parish administration, cattle commission members, as well as complaints and other sources of information. The selected audit firm will evaluate and rate the suggestions using a matrix, and the number of audits selected will be based on the impact the audit would have and the risks. And that's what they did.
Exactly.
For 2019, what they did was they took suggestions, they interviewed parish employees, they sent a questionnaire to all 12 commissioners, 6 commissioners responded, they took those commission responses and came up with a plan that was submitted to committee and voted to be forwarded here. This is not a schedule of audits on page 2. This is just a listing of the department.
Okay.
It's not a schedule of audits that had been voted on by the commission. What the commission voted to do was what has been presented here today. And today you decide if you're going to approve that schedule or not.
Can I ask a question? May I?
Yes, sir. You still have the floor. I just
so-
gave her the opportunity to address what you were saying.
Okay, so, Dr. Wilson, and I assume who's responsible? Erica, are you responsible for the audit process?
I'm just responsible, the contact person.
Sort of.
for the audit.
So,
It was
would,
actually the audit committee of the commission is
Okay.
responsible for this process,
Okay.
not the administration.
so I was just trying, my motion is there any heartburn to add
Yeah.
these two
I
to,
would say
to
so.
what their work, to
I
their
would say
scope
yes,
of
sir,
work?
it is.
Okay.
Because this process is supposed to take multiple years.
Okay.
And next year, they will come back to you all again with the remaining sections that have not been audited for another schedule. You can't do so many per year.
Right.
And they did state in that committee meeting that they would only be able to complete about 4 of the departments or the 5 that they submitted that they suggested.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Attorney Frazier, did you have anything else to add, ma'am?
Yeah, just.
Dr. Wilson?
Madam President, I just want to let you all know, every department will eventually be audited. No one's going to escape being audited. No, anyone's concerned about not being audited. So, but you have to follow your process. You want to maintain integrity of the process. You all voted on that process. Our hands are off the process. I think y'all let it go forward.
Thank you for the clarification. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. I mean, if everyone would go to Parish of Caddo proposed internal audit process, page 1, and you have submission of audit plan. It says by the second regular commission meeting of each year, the parish administrator shall submit an annual audit plan to the Caddo Parish Commission for review and approval. So basically what you have in front of you is for 2019, the audit plan.
Right.
Now, we can sit here and we can say, these are what we want to do, or we can say that we want to change these in any order that we want to. But this is what he is supposed to do by our ordinance, is submit a audit plan to us for us to look at and say, this is what we want to do. If we don't want to do this in this order, we change it. The responsibility is ours. They did a process. They brought in a third party to say who should be first ones up. If we disagree with that, we make a substitute motion to change it. But this is what he was supposed to do based upon what Matthew pushed back in 2017, that we wasn't getting this plan brought before us to review and to approve. So today, this is their this is their plan based upon a third-party questionnaire survey that they did to make it mostly unbiased as possible, to say these are the ones that they want to do. Now, it's our responsibility to either accept these 4, to modify them, or switch it around how we want to. But at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to say which 4 they need to be done this year. He submitted a plan, we can adjust it. That's all. I mean, if we feel another group should be in the top 4 for 19, we need to make that change. That's all I got.
That's it. Commissioner Jackson, would you like to withdraw your motion?
No, I think Commissioner Johnson basically hit on it. Is we have an option. So, I guess if it calms whatever reservation Commissioner Lynn has to just add that one to the top 4. I don't know which one you change out, but I'll leave that to y'all to determine which one if this passes. So I'm just trying to see how we can find some middle ground, but I do have a better understanding that it's not a schedule. That is not the schedule, and maybe on the sheet, Madam President, maybe on the sheet we clarify that is not the schedule, because when I kind of look down at it, but once you go through and read through it, you realize that that's actually not the schedule. So my proposal is to try to swap something out there. That's all. If that's the will of the body.
Attorney Frazier, would we need to state which one you would be removing? Because we could not vote on 5, or we should not vote on 5, we would have to vote on 4?
I think that would be desirable, since they said that they would only be able to complete about 4. However, you also too have to look at some of the functions that you may be swapping out may not take as much time. And maybe once you swap them out, they get to them. So it's kind of up to you.
Okay. We're generating another conversation. Commissioner John Atkins, second
Thank you.
time.
I respect everybody's view on this. There are several things that we could look at. But there was a well thought out process that the third party audit firm took into account as they evaluated which which items to address first. Of course, everybody might have a different opinion on what should go first. I would suggest we just vote on the proposed slate. If people are unhappy with it, it won't pass, and we can come up with another slate. But this did come out of the Finance Committee with the recommendation of Postal Wait and Netterville. You know, I'm just trying to establish a process that we can then stick to and get all of our sections, all of our departments, thank you, evaluated appropriately.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson, you have spoke. Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate the positions that have been discussed, and in mentioning that there are 6 members of the commission that were involved, but specifically, they are the key stakeholders as it relates to the auditing and the finances and the financial decisions of the commission, with it being the president of the commission, vice president, parliamentarian, the chairman of the audit committee, and the chairman of the finance committee. So I think that the commission is well represented in that regard. So it's not just 6 just any 6 members. They were the members who are specifically responsible for that, who best represents the commission in that respect. I'd like to respectfully say. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam.
So as mentioned.
Yeah, but I have.
You have spoken, haven't you? You haven't spoken on
Not
this?
on this issue.
Okay.
Call for the question.
Second.
All right. Okay, it's been called for the question by Commissioner Doug Dominic, and that was second by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. Please vote. Calling for the question.
Mr. Dominic? Mr. Atkins?
I pushed it, let me try again.
President Gage Watts?
I'm on there. Okay.
Just call for question.
All right, and that passes 10-2.
So
Now,
call the question.
we are voting on the substitute motion first.
Which was?
To add those entities in.
Mr. Clerk, will you please?
The motion was to add administration, legal, commission, and commission clerk to
Right.
the list. I would just point out, you've got different functions, you might want to split some of that.
Well, they
I-
called for
I
the
don't-
question, so.
Yeah.
So-
I don't think it has a very good trajectory.
I had a good amendment in place, but I called for the question.
The question was called.
Okay.
We can revisit it later.
Dr. Wilson?
Yeah, I just want to make sure, are we adding additional departments to what's already been scheduled for 2019? Is that what's being added?
Can't talk. It's called for the question.
Yeah.
No debate. Debate's gotta
I
be
don't
ended.
think-
We gotta vote.
Out of order.
I'm
There's a
not
vote on the
optimistic
floor.
about its trajectory.
If you are in favor of adding to it, vote for yes. If you're against it, vote no. Please vote.
I think we got another shot at it on Thursday, too. Yeah, it's fine.
And that fails 4-8. Okay, now we are voting on the original motion. Authorize the approval of the 2019 audit schedule. Please vote if you're in favor of what's before you. Yes, if you're against it, vote no.
Can't be on the board. We already called the question.
We voting? Okay, and that passes 10-2.
I want to change my vote to yes.
I'll go to yes also.
Okay, that passes 12-0. Commissioner Lynn?
I just wanted to speak before that and but I'll talk Thursday.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Move to authorize reappointment to the Caddo Parish Caddo Bossier Port Commission of Mr. Thomas F. Murphy.
So move for adoption.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner
minute.
Jackson and second by Commissioner
Wait.
Dominic.
I
Make a
removed my,
motion to delay.
Okay,
I removed my motion. I'm sorry.
thank you. It's been removed by Commissioner Jackson. And
Thank you.
Commissioner Dominic removes his second.
Yeah.
Commissioner Mike Middleton.
Yes, as requester of this, I appreciate that. I'd like to make the motion to delay this until March the 4th so we can look into some
Second.
concerns citizens have. And not that Captain Murphy is not a great qualified person, but I just think we need to be responsive to our citizens in that area that surround the port. They can be impacted by whatever the port does.
Okay.
But I appreciate the foregoing,
I'll second that motion if no one is.
but John already has.
Okay.
Thanks.
Oh, did?
Yeah.
Okay. Please vote. And that passes 11-1. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Authorize 432 Square Productions as visitor for regular session.
Move to Thursday.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and second by Commissioner Matthew Lynn. Please vote.
Excuse me.
And that passes 12-0. Next item.
Citizen comments, late arrivals.
Okay, I have one. Mr. Fred White. While Mr. White is coming, I would just like to recognize we have a Caddo Parish School Board member, Dr. Duzar, here. Hi, Dr. Duzar.
Hey.
Hi, Mr. White.
Hi, I'm Fred White, Commercial Construction and Development, 722 North Ashley Ridge Loop in Shreveport. I just was aware that y'all were discussing some of the UDC potential amendments to the UDC as it's been adopted, and I just wanted to, I guess, encourage you to reduce the requirements as much as you feel like you can reduce those. I've been a contractor here for 35 years, built commercial buildings. My father was a contractor. My grandfather was a contractor in Shreveport since 1952. And honestly, it's the construction market is the grimmest I've ever seen it, even going back to the mid-'80s. And ever since the UDC was passed, I don't think we've built any projects in the parish other than 3 maybe at the port. We have not built any other commercial buildings that were not in the city limits, commercial projects. And of course, we're working, we have a good relationship with Mr. Clark. We're really thankful that he's taking the lead now at the MPC. And we're working with Dr. Magner and through the city engineer's office and through the MPC, trying to enact some additional amendments. I was involved last year when we suggested a lot of amendments, and we were thankful that that some of the requirements were lessened. And it's just we're all for high standards, and we've built some really beautiful buildings around town, and we like to build the nicest buildings that our customers can afford. And but it might be good if some of the requirements could be delayed, reduced, whatever could be done to try to stimulate some construction activity in the market, because we just don't see much on the horizon. And I'm concerned that the standards are being set to a little higher standard than what our economy can withstand right now. And I don't know if it's possible to delay any of the requirements for 4 or 5 years until we have a return to a time of prosperity around here, but at the current time, it's really difficult to have projects that will appraise at a level where they can be financed through traditional bank financing. We're building several banks right now and several car wash facilities that are for cash owners, but the people that are building and having to borrow money are really struggling to be able to meet the UDC requirements and make their projects appraised at a level where they can obtain financing.
All right, time.
Thank you, Mr. White.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, we just point out to Mr. White that we can't ask questions during this session. It's not that we're not interested, we just can't ask questions.
Yes, sir, I will. I think he heard you. Mr. White, at this time, we're not allowed to have direct dialect with you to address any of your questions or concerns, but we have heard them, and we will pay attention to them.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
I'm sorry, I thought we were at communiques.
Okay. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to communications committee reports.
Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Yes, I wanted to acknowledge Captain Clarence Reese, Shreveport Fire Department PIO and EMS officer. Just want to acknowledge him, my coworker.
Star.
Hello. Hello, Captain.
Captains get
I see, sir. All right. Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. Just let you guys know, tonight is the Southern Hills Neighborhood Association meeting at 6:30 on Baird Road. It's going to be very good tonight. We're talking about Crime Stoppers and their role in our community and the function and how you can interact with them. So welcome all the Southern Hills members and whomever else around this horse you would like to go tonight at 6:30. That's all, President.
Thank you, Vice President Chavez. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Madam President, I want to do something after communicate.
Okay. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I just want to announce that tomorrow, February 5th, we'll start the kickoff to the, in partnership, the Caddo Parish Commission, Centenary Colleges Film Society, and Robertson Film Center will kick off a Black History Month film series. It starts with If Beale Street Can Talk. We have several panelists. It's open for commissioners to attend. Please participate. They have a slate every week, I believe, of movies that will be showing, talking about the directors. I believe Warner directors filmed right here in Shreveport. And so just trying to make that connection to our film community, our young individuals, but also use this opportunity as to talk about Black history as well. So I want to thank Megan, is that her name? Megan, for taking this on and approaching us about it. And there's just more activities to do down here. I'll repeat some of this. I won't go into too much detail, but and we'll repeat it. But I want to thank Dr. Wilson and Kevin for the support for the home buyers class. Well over 200 individuals. I had 4 people. I sent you the pictures. I don't know if I sent it to you, Kevin, but I had 4 people come in from Fort Worth, Texas, and a couple people come in from South Arkansas. So we had a regional impact that had, but thank you for the logistical work. Pretty last minute, we didn't expect it, but y'all were right there on the spot, so appreciate it. And I want to thank Travis and Kelvin for their work with Animal Services. If you can have them continue to follow up on those 2 particular calls about aggressive dogs. We're coming into that summer month where folks tend to just lose their mind on whatever. So I was driving down 4th Street, Travis, Kelvin, and there's a house on 4th Street with a pit bull with a chain, and look like the pit bull can almost take the house with him if he wants to go. So it's right there on Caddo and Ford, just before you get to Douglas. But I'll have some more detailed comments on it on Thursday. But thank you, Madam President. That concludes my comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner John Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. Just wanted to point out to the people in the audience that Commissioner LBJ had a long-range planning session this afternoon in which we spent considerable time discussing the Unified Development Code with Mr. Clark. And I wanted to touch base with any developers in the audience to make sure that they've seen the most recent draft of the Unified Development Code and make sure that we're all on the same page with respect to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. I see no one else. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to reconsider the authorization of the approval for 2019 by making a motion to remove non-governmental organizations and place facilities and maintenance in its place.
Second.
Okay, we have a reconsideration. Commissioner Johnson, would you like to speak on your motion?
Yes, and the reason I said that is I think our departments should come before in our audits first and then we go to some of the functions that are done. I think the NGO and the parish funded agencies should be audited around the same time, instead of in separate years. They should be done in the same year.
Okay, so it's been motioned by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Jackson. No other discussion? Okay, Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yeah, I just, and even, you know, just with the motion, even if we have to have, I was listening to what y'all were saying, what Attorney Frazier was saying, even if we have to, next time we do this, even if we have to have one with like an asterisk for fifth, if they can get to it, because as you pointed out, some may take longer than others, some may be, you know, here and there, you know, so, you know, maybe if we can have, hey, if you finish these quick enough, here's the next one or two options that you can go to next time. So that's just my observation.
Okay. Let's see, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
What was the motion? I didn't catch it.
To remove the NGO and replace it with facilities and maintenance, another department, instead of a function that we do.
Okay. I mean, the reason I brought up as much as I brought up today is the simple belief that the 12 of us, as you said, are charged with making the decision, and that if the citizens are not happy with the decisions, they don't call the 30 employees that reached out and did input. They call the 12 of us. And so I think that this decision, that the bulk of these phone calls should go to all 12 of us, and granted all 12 had the option, I think that all 12 of us need to do our homework and make this decision as far as what it is that we are actually auditing, and not 30 employees for Caddo Parish that by far hold the bulk of the decision making, when it's 30 people voting one way and possibly 6 thinking a different way. I would like to see something else than what you proposed.
Okay.
And I'm happy to discuss this throughout the week until Thursday, which is why I gave everybody this, and whether it's a committee meeting or one-on-one conversations. My phone is open, and I'll be reaching out to all of y'all. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynn. Before we go any further, we have a point of order, and we have a reconsideration on the floor. We need to vote on that, and
right.
Regardless to if it fails or passes, then if we need further discussion, we will.
Are we not able to speak on that before voting on it?
No, sir.
Thank you.
He can speak on the reconsider.
Only.
Reconsideration.
Right.
Yes.
And thank you, Madam President. Unless there is some other rationale, I think it becomes quite subjective in that respect, and that I think any commissioner at any point could have a preference as it relates to how we view it, and I respect your position on it, but being that we voted on it to this point, I think it's quite subjective in that respect. So for that reason, I would not support it.
Okay, please vote. You're voting to
Can I,
reconsider.
speak to that?
Reconsideration, second time. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
So my purpose for that is based upon what we did back in 2017. When you look at the list, animal services was already done. Facility maintenance is one that's next. Finance and human resources is already on the list. Juvenile services is on the list. And so all I did was take one that was in between all of that and put it on the list. So it's not subjective. It could have been any one of the departments, but I would just follow the list. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. Commissioner John Atkins.
I just want to be clear that that the process that was employed by the third-party auditor is a standard process that's used in public sector and private sector. You reach out to board members, which is effectively what the commission is with respect to the parish, and you reach out to key employees. So it's just, I just want to make sure everybody knows it's totally appropriate for the audit committee to poll both board members and employees with respect to the order of the third-party audit. Thank you.
We're voting for the reconsideration.
If you kick me off.
This is the
If
vote.
it passes, then you
To
vote.
me, right,
Come out with
then
an
we
amendment.
debate the
Okay.
actual.
It's just to
You
get
on
it
the
on the
board.
floor to reconsider.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just gonna ask for a point of clarification on
You on
what
the
Commissioner
board?
Atkins said. I was trying to be,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
this a point of clarification. Where all 12 commissioners asked to survey and only 6
Yes.
just took out?
That's
Okay,
right.
I just wanna make sure that's part of the record, because the way you just said it, it was like a piece of us that did it
Yeah.
and other
Only
people.
6 responded.
So
Survey was
survey
sent.
went out to all 12, and then those 12, then 6 only
6
applied.
responded.
Multiple times it went out to us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. That's it, Commissioner
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
I just
Okay.
gotta take my.
Please vote.
I'm sorry, Madam President, what does a yes vote with no and a no vote mean here?
Yes vote means that you are reconsidering the authorization according to the schedule, including facilities and maintenance.
A yes
No,
vote is
just-
just to reconsider.
Just to put it on the table, then he'll come out with a
Not
motion to
with the
amend.
actual wording.
Right.
So the yes vote would just to be to reconsider what we've already voted for. If you don't want to reconsider it, if you don't want to revisit it, then vote no.
Right.
If you do, then vote yes.
But you'll see me Thursday.
Okay? Please vote.
Thank you, LB. You put this process up there.
Either today or Thursday, make it smooth. Make it easy on yourself. Yeah, I can.
And that fails 4-8.
That's fine. I'll make an amendment Thursday. No, I know. I will be ready.
Next
Thursday.
item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to consent agenda.
So move for adjournment.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned.
Say no on
When he gets some other.
Right, that's